When someone truly wants to talk to you, they will. When they genuinely value who you are and what you bring into their life, you never have to sit there wondering whether you're enough. And I know that truth stings. The mind tries to protect. The heart with excuses. Maybe they're busy. Maybe they're confused. Maybe they're still figuring things out. But here's the reality. They recognized your worth and still chose to treat it like an option. That's the only answer you need. You don't have to send another message, rewrite your feelings, or offer your heart like a discount they once ignored. What you need now is one deep breath and a shift so intentional it plants itself in their mind, like a splinter they can't remove. No begging, no blocking, no dramatic gestures. Just one precise internal move that changes everything. This isn't about revenge. This is stoicism, calm, strategic, grounded. You are not reacting, you are redirecting. You are stepping out of the role they expected you to play. And when someone can't predict you anymore, they lose the sense of control they believed they had. That's when curiosity becomes tension and tension becomes obsession. Suddenly your silence isn't emptiness, it's meaning. You're no longer the person waiting on their words. You become the presence they feel even from a distance. You awaken the part of their mind that becomes obsessed with what it can't categorize. You don't vanish, you transform. You evolve so powerfully that the version of you they knew no longer exists, and that unsettles them more than your silence ever could. So let's stop romanticizing confusion. If someone wanted you, you'd feel it. If they respected you, you'd know it. You've given enough. Now it's time to write a new story, one where your energy is no longer available to those who mishandled it. They left thinking you'd stay the same, but when they look back, they won't recognize you in your clarity, your confidence, your glow. That is stoic revenge. You don't need to speak, you act. You create a shift so deep that your absence teaches them what your presence once offered. If this resonates, say it aloud. I don't send messages. I transform. Now, let's talk about the first shift, the unexpected move that flips everything. If they truly cared, they'd be here. But they're not, and you're there scrolling through old messages hoping one day they'll wake up and appreciate you. But that fantasy is costing you time and draining your self-worth. This isn't about sending one last message, it's about never sending one again. Not out of bitterness, but because you're about to do something they never saw coming. You think disappearing makes them forget you? It doesn't. Not when you do what I'm about to describe. Silence alone fades, but the action you're preparing for burns into memory. This isn't manipulation. It's psychological strategy, calm, precise, grounded in Jung's shadow theory. You become unpredictable, emotionally centered, powerful. They can't ignore you because you're no longer doing what they expect. You're not chasing, not explaining, not seeking closure. You're creating an open psychological loop their mind can't close, and until they do, they'll think of you. You become the unresolved chapter, the imprint. Jung said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life. And the shift you're about to make strikes the subconscious. Loud people don't leave marks, quiet transformation does. When someone expects an apology and gets calm distance instead, it disrupts their internal script. When they assumed you'd react emotionally and you stayed grounded, it creates a rupture. You stop being the predictable seeker and become the one they can't define. And when someone can't define you, they become obsessed. They won't say it, but they'll feel it. You didn't disappear, you elevated. And that elevation becomes the echo they can't silence. That's the emotional imprint. And now for the evolution, the unreachable glow. You're not vanishing, you're rising. Your glow becomes quieter, clearer, rooted in self-respect. It's not about jealousy. It's about alignment. You grow so naturally, so effortlessly, that your very presence becomes a reminder of what they mishandled. You're not the person they left behind, you're the person they can't reach anymore. That glow you're stepping into now is sacred, not for revenge, but for rebirth. For the quiet revolution happening inside you. It's what unfolds when you stop orbiting someone else's world and finally begin constructing your own with intention, clarity, and self-respect. Carl Jung spoke of individuation, the process of becoming your truest self by integrating the parts of you that were once ignored or rejected And right now, that's exactly what you're doing. Every time you choose growth over drama, every time you resist the urge to explain yourself to someone who no longer deserves access to you, every time you rise for your own peace instead of someone else's validation, your glow expands. And that glow born from pain, reshaped by purpose, makes you untouchable in a way no filter ever could. Let's be honest, they thought you'd stay exactly where they left you. They assumed the version of you surviving on crumbs, confusion, and false hope would still be waiting. But you evolved. You became the plot twist they never saw coming. The person they abandoned is not the person who exists now. And that's the truth they can't admit. You didn't break. You transformed. Your glow today is a spiritual consequence, a psychological mirror, a silent but powerful reckoning. People don't regret your silence, they regret your evolution. They regret seeing you from afar, rising, focused, unreachable, no longer waiting for their return. That's when regret blooms like a bruise in their chest. That's when their mind whispers, "You had all that and you lost it." But you don't need to shout. You don't need to send anything. Your glow becomes the soundtrack to their quiet shame. So protect it. Invest in it. Build your glow from the inside out. Care for your body. Elevate your voice. Stand tall in rooms you once shrank for. Walk with a presence that doesn't beg for attention but naturally commands it. You're not doing it for them, but trust me, they will feel it. And every time they feel it, it will sting. If this resonates, write it now. My glow is untouchable. Because the old you is gone, and they will never meet this version again. Now let's talk about the real hook: controlled exposure. Most people think distancing yourself only has two forms: total silence or constant visibility. But the true power lies in the precise middle, in becoming intentionally present but emotionally unreachable. You don't disappear, but you don't chase. You show enough of your evolution to stir their subconscious, not their ego. Controlled exposure is a psychological disruption, because when they unexpectedly see you laughing, healing, building a life without them, they won't be angry, they'll be confused. Why do they look lighter? Why do they seem peaceful? Why aren't they trying anymore? That's when the shift happens. Their mind begins looping, searching for explanations. Maybe you post one photo, not dramatic, not desperate, just a natural capture of your glow. No caption needed. No performance, just presence. And that alone becomes the hook, not because you want them back, but because your life has widened far beyond the space they abandoned you in. Jung said that when two personalities meet, both are transformed if a reaction exists. They once believed they were the only one who mattered, but now, seeing you intact, elevated, and visible yet unreachable, forces a reaction they didn't prepare for. Controlled exposure isn't about seduction. It's about truth. They see you, they feel you, but they can't reach you. And that imbalance destabilizes the human mind. You become a living reminder of their mistake, a symbol of what they lost. And you didn't need to insult them, block them, or beg them to see your worth. You simply became someone they no longer have access to. And nothing is more haunting than that. Now comes the shift from chasing energy to desired energy. You flipped the dynamic. They were once the sun of your emotional solar system, but you are the light now, and they orbit the absence of what they lost. And the moment your energy stopped reaching for them, they began reaching for you energetically without even speaking. That is emotional gravity. You no longer strive to prove your worth. They experience it through your absence. If you feel this shift in your bones, write it now. I am the prize. Then ritualize your elevation. Build your rise with intention. Let your growth become so consistent that it cannot be ignored. Because the greatest revenge is not revenge. It is becoming the version of yourself they were never prepared to meet. They can't reach you anymore, and that truth lands heavier than any message you never sent. They won't say it aloud, but they see it in the way you move now, with intention, with clarity, with a sense of self they never nurtured. They hear it in the steadiness of your voice, feel it in your distance, and notice it in the way your world no longer bends around their approval. Your glow isn't just a surface radiance. It's emotional depth, spiritual maturity, and a quiet power forged in the fire of everything you survived. You've stopped reacting and started becoming, and that, right there is the part that shakes them. Not your silence, not your absence, but your discipline. Because this isn't a phase, not a revenge glow-up, not a temporary burst of motivation. It's your new ritual, your new normal, your new identity. Every morning you rise and improve. You send a message to the version of yourself who once cried for clarity. I didn't die there. I rose. Every habit you build, every boundary you reinforce, every layer of strength you cultivate becomes part of a legacy they helped shape, but will never enjoy. You're not bitter. You're focused. You don't need to prove anything. You refine. And the more you refine, the harder you are to overlook, the more undeniable you become. That's when their panic begins. That's when reality finally catches up. They didn't just lose you, they lost the future you, the healed you, the elevated you, the version of you they never imagined. You've become someone shaped by pain, but not defined by it. And that kind of evolution etches itself permanently into their memory. So, don't wait for inspiration. Build the rituals. Build the systems. Build the life. Your glow is earned, not gifted, and when it comes from discipline instead of desperation, even your silence becomes unforgettable. You've become the version of yourself they never deserved. If this feels like truth hitting your ribs, say it now. I rise through ritual. And then comes the ghost effect, the moment you realize real power isn't in revenge or explanations, but in disappearing physically while your presence lingers everywhere in their world. You're gone, but the imprint of your energy remains like smoke after a fire, subtle but impossible to ignore. They thought blocking you would erase you, but that's not how energy works. You're in the songs they hear, in the places you shared, in the moments they didn't appreciate when they had them. You're in their dreams, in flashes of memory, in the silence between distractions. They don't choose to remember you. Their subconscious does it for them. That's the cost of losing someone who gave real care. You don't vanish, you echo. Carl Jung believed unprocessed emotions resurface through dreams, projections, fantasies, and sudden anxieties, and that's exactly what's happening to them now. They can't process your transformation, so their psyche brings you back in pieces again and again. No matter how hard they try to run from the truth. And the truth is simple, they didn't value what they had. Now they live with the weight of what they lost. You have become a symbol not of heartbreak, but of resurrection. Not of rejection, but of evolution. You don't haunt them with bitterness, you linger like royalty stepping out of a story they never deserved to be part of. You're not a memory. You're an unanswered question. You're a chapter they never finished. And the more they pretend not to care, the more the truth tightens around them. Why do they still check your page? Why do they watch from shadow accounts? Why do they ask mutual friends about you? Because the human mind hates incomplete stories, and you walked away before theirs could end. They expected a collapse. You became an empire, and that contrast now lives in their chest like a stone. That is the ghost effect, silent, graceful, unforgettable. And here's the final twist, the less you do, the more their mind works. While you build, they spiral. While you evolve, they replay. Your silence becomes their obsession. Your growth becomes their confusion. Your peace becomes their storm. You didn't do less out of weakness, you did less because your soul finally remembered its worth. And now they sit in the echo of everything they took for granted while you step into the life you are always meant to live. If you feel this truth in your bones, say it now. My silence says everything. If this spoke to you, don't just watch, take a moment to like, share, and subscribe. Every click helps this message reach someone who needs it. Share the strength, spread the clarity, and keep this energy alive. Join the community that's rising together, healing together, and building unshakable confidence one truth at a time. Hit like, share this with someone who needs it, and subscribe for more.